made a new friend recently, Peter Duke, with the Duke Report. We're both interested in critiquing AI, but we're not Luddites. We want to see what it can do. And Peter took my doctoral dissertation on the ordering tendencies of chance, and he uploaded it to an AI program that then summarizes the book and turns it into a podcast between two fake AI podcasters. And he sent me the file. I have not listened to it yet. I'm going to listen to it now and give you my reaction as I hear AI talking about my own work. It's a good idea to judge the effectiveness of AI when it's summarizing your own work, because you know what you meant to say and you can see where it is not summarizing or not paraphrasing quite accurately. However, plenty of peer reviewers and people who quote your work also can misquote it or misunderstand it. So I won't be too critical. I should add that I revised my dissertation, which I wrote in 2002 or so, and I published it later under a different title, The Biologist Mistress, Rethinking Self-Organization in Art, Literature, and Nature.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into complex ideas and surface with surprising insights.
Hello.
Today, we're tackling a topic that truly touches on everything. I mean, from the fundamental laws of biology all the way to how you think about your favorite novel.
Yeah, and even the very beginning of the universe, right? And how it connects to your own sense of purpose.
Exactly. It's a field that really asks us to reconsider some deeply held assumptions about how the world works.
Mm-hmm. And how we interpret meaning itself. It pushes the boundaries of what we even understand by the word intention.
Absolutely. So we're taking a deep dive today into Victoria Alexander's PhD dissertation, Narrative Telos, The Ordering Tendencies of Chance.
And this isn't just, your standard academic paper.
No, not at all. It's a truly groundbreaking exploration. Alexander herself, she's quite remarkable, an award-winning novelist, a Fulbright scholar, a Rockefeller Foundation fellow.
Right. Her research pedigree is impressive, spanning places like the Dactyl Foundation for the Arts and Humanities and the Santa Fe Institute.
Exactly. Which places her right at the forefront of intellectual inquiry into how meaning evolves, cognition, culture. She blends fields that most people keep separate.
Like biosemiotics, the study of meaning-making in living systems, and complexity science.
And she even worked daily with theoretical physicist James Crutchfield, exploring deterministic chaos and computational mechanics. It's a fascinating mix.
It really is. She argues quite strongly that science is, and I think I'm quoting her here, indispensable to the study of literature.
Which is a bold claim in some circles.
Yes, I probably do say that somewhere in my dissertation, but I think I stress that it's equally important that an understanding of the artistic process and the creative process is important for science.
Definitely. What's so interesting here is how Alexander brings together the humanities and the hard sciences, these areas usually seen as, totally separate domains.
To offer this unified, almost revolutionary theory of intention and meaning.
Yeah, she challenges us to think about purpose not just as a human.
I find it kind of funny that they're summarizing me in a very flattering way. Did I say these nice things about myself in the dissertation? I don't know.
Thing, a psychological construct, but as something potentially embedded in the very fabric of existence.
That's right. So our mission today is to unpack Alexander's really big idea. That teleology, the study of purpose or design, isn't some, outdated, superstitious concept we should just dismiss.
Quite the opposite.
Instead, she argues it's a vital, subtle tool. A tool for understanding creativity, innovation, revealing how chance and order work together, weaving the tapestry of everything around.
Okay. Weaving the tapestry around us. That's so cliche. Sorry.
We'll explore her insights into how things can appear designed, even without a designer in the traditional sense.
And how this genuinely changes our view of art, science, maybe even our own lives.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? Let's unpack this. Okay, so let's set the stage. For a long time, especially since, 1968, Roland Barthes' The Death of the Author.
That's the one, a hugely influential essay.
Right. And since then, the whole idea of authorial intention in literature and even purpose in nature
Hmm.
seemed, well, kind of declared dead, didn't it?
It did. Barth has suggested that once a text is out there, the meaning is really made by the reader, not dictated by the author. It was liberating for interpretation.
But it also sort of sidelined the idea of a fixed artistic purpose. And in science, too, mechanistic explanations took over. The idea of inherent purpose, telos, started looking almost superstitious.
We were told art should be non-teleological, deliberately unpredictable, moving away from any sense of a predetermined goal.
But this is where Alexander pushes back, right?
Right. She finds that fascinating.
Well,
She points out that even art designed to be random chance operational art, like, say, throwing paint, it can still feel purposeful to us, the observers.
how so?
Well, if coincidental patterns emerge and they happen to strike you as meaningful, it triggers that sense of purpose. It feels like it was meant to end up looking that way.
Ah, okay. So the feeling comes from the observer's interpretation.
Partly. But conversely, she notes a really predictable work, something that just follows genre conventions slavishly.
Like a formulaic pop song, maybe?
Exactly. That might not feel truly intentional. It doesn't feel like a unique, willed act by the artist, just convention. So it begs the question, what makes something seem purposeful?
And could that seeming actually be a form of real purpose itself?
That's the ambiguity she explores. It's not just about seeming. It might be about an emergent reality.
That's a really powerful reframing because most of us, when we think purpose, we picture like a straight line.
They're summarizing a lot of what I did in the beginning of the book, which is to summarize what I am going to say throughout the entire book. So maybe they're giving a summary of the introduction, and they're pretty accurate, but they are paraphrasing. So
A causes B, causes C, leads to goal D.
The standard causal chain. Very linear, very mechanical. Past dictates future.
But Alexander says, hold on, that's a misinterpretation. Even a distortion of how teleology was historically understood.
It is. If you actually look back at traditional teleologists, think Aristotle, for instance, they rarely, if ever, described purpose that way, as just A to B to C to D.
So what do they use instead?
They used concepts like a reflexive series. Think parts influencing the whole, and the whole, in turn, determining the function of its parts.
Like in a living body. My heart exists for me, the whole organism, and my existence shapes what my heart needs to do.
Precisely, that kind of reciprocal relationship, parts, whole parts. Or they talked about a cyclical series where things feed back into each other, ABCA.
Okay, so it's more complex, more dynamic.
Much more. The crucial point is, in this older view, part A exists because of the larger whole. CI actually determines the function of A. Telos was seen as arising from these complex feedback loops.
Not as some separate goal.
I think that Chat GPT or whatever LLM that Peter used, they have a hard time with graphic formulas that are explaining something. So when they say A, B, C, D, they're not actually reading the illustration, the figure appropriately. They have a hard time, LLMs have a hard time reading figures and making sense of figures. So that's what they're trying to do right now. So it sounds a little bit off.
Way off in the future, pulling things along.
Exactly. It was understood more as an inherent internal drive or organizing principle, not an external magnet.
And here's the bit that really blew my mind. Alexander emphasizes, and apparently this gets overlooked all the time, that telos was always described as resulting from the random interactions of parts.
Chance wasn't the enemy of purpose. It was part of its mechanism.
That vital role of chance has been basically ignored or even denied by later thinkers who preferred purely deterministic or purely random models.
Right, and she wants to bring chance back to the absolute center of how we understand purpose.
It makes you realize how much our language shapes this. You mentioned Lakoff and Turner.
Yes, the conceptual linguists, they point out metaphors like purposes are destinations. We think of a goal like a place we're traveling to.
A physical thing, existing in the future, pulling us forward.
It's almost baked into English. Hard to think about purpose without that spatial metaphor. And that linguistic bias has really shaped our philosophy and science.
But Alexander argues, wait, the goal doesn't have to be a future thing. It could just be an idea in the agent's mind right now in the present.
Exactly. An idea that propels them forward. It's a subtle shift.
Oh, no, no, no. The idea, if it's already existing in the mind, then it's predetermined to some extent. And that's the kind of thing that I want to get away from. Also, how do you describe the purposeful behavior of a microorganism or something that doesn't have ideas? So that's not quite right. That's they're going back to the very conventional understanding of how someone behaves purposefully. They get an idea in their mind and they go toward that idea. That is definitely not what I'm doing in this chapter.
Shift, but it's critical.
It allows purpose to exist without needing some preordained external design or violating causality by having the future affect the present. The idea of the future goal exists now and acts as a present cause.
Precisely. She's moving us beyond that simplistic linear model, especially using insights from modern science that challenge those old reductionist views.
Okay, so to really get this more fluid idea of purpose, Alexander introduces two key components. Things she says have been historically misunderstood or pulled apart.
That's right, directionality and originality.
And they sound, on the surface, like they might conflict, don't they? One is about staying on track, the other is about going somewhere new.
They often have been seen that way, like oil and water. But Alexander argues they're two sides of the same coin, inseparable in any truly teleological or purposeful process.
So what's directionality?
Directionality is about the mechanisms that maintain order, the predictable, stable parts of a system. Think about the rules of crystal growth, or how your body maintains its temperature homeostasis.
Or grammar rules in language. Following patterns.
Exactly. It's about maintaining stability, keeping things going along established pathways.
And originality.
That's the flip side. It's about the discovery or emergence of completely new functions or forms, the unexpected leap, the innovation, the adaptation.
Ah, okay. Stability and novelty.
Right. She actually points back to Richard Owen, an early 19th century teleologist. He talked about a polarizing force for stability, which he saw as directional but not fully teleological, and an adaptive special generalizing force for change and diversity, which he did call teleological, linking it to adaptation.
But he saw them as separate forces.
He didn't explicitly link them as interdependent in the way Alexander does. She argues you absolutely need both working together for genuine purpose or intention to arise. You can't have true purpose without both stability and the capacity for newness.
Okay, that makes sense. So how do these two, directionality and originality, actually show up in the world? In nature or in art?
Alexander argues that real intention, real artistry, whether it's in biology or human creation, only happens when both are present.
How does that work?
She explains it kind of like this. First, mechanistic laws spontaneously arise from underlying disorder. They create patterns, what she calls emergent lawfulness. That's directionality setting up shop.
Establishing stable rules.
Right. But then, and this is crucial, these systems, which are now following rules, can start to function in advantageous ways that were not predicted by those initial rules.
Ah, that's the adaptability, the originality.
Exactly. These two things together, emergent lawfulness providing the stable structure, and adaptability providing the novel function, make natural systems telic, creatively organized towards goals, even if those goals weren't planned from the start.
The purpose emerges from that interplay.
Precisely. Think about those eye spots on a butterfly's wing, that famous example.
Okay.
They form because of existing predictable biological processes, genes, chemical reactions, cell development that's directionality. Following the biological rules ensures the spots appear consistently.
Right. Stable pattern formation.
But then comes originality. If a predator, like a bird, happens to see those spots, mistakes them for an owl's eyes and gets scared off.
That's a new function the spots have acquired.
Exactly, an accidental utility. The butterfly didn't intend to mimic an owl. The spots are just a result of its internal directional biology. But the predator's interpretation, driven by external factors like the environment, gives the spots a novel, unpredicted purpose.
And because that purpose is so good for survival, it gets selected for. And in hindsight, it looks perfectly designed.
Precisely. That's how nature's products can seem like works of art, imbued with purpose. The telos isn't in the initial blueprint. It emerges from the combination of underlying order and chance interpretation or interaction.
This leads us straight into that old argument, doesn't it? Reductionism versus something else. Are things just the sum of their parts, like a machine?
Or is there something more, some emergent quality you can't predict just by looking at the components?